happening, but I feel like I shouldn't say anything out of respect for whatever they are planning.
But they definitely are joining a team together, and they will have exciting news. And not too big of a surprise to see, them being so close, playing similar things.
Yeah.
And Samuel Sao just, playing all these decks that go wide on the board, the Murloc Mage, the Even Shaman, and the Token Druid, trying to take advantage of the fact that Death Rattle Hunter truly does not deal with it well.
Yeah, the only thing is this is a deck that tends to do fairly well against wide decks. Defile is a big problem against for Shaman in general.
And we're going to get to see that here, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I mean, this is Cube Warlock with all of its glory. The one nice caveat to everything that I just said is Shaman has Hex, which can deal with Cube plays very well if they don't pop it immediately. Or even just a raw Void Lord can get Hexed. And that also affects the Blood River Gul'dan pool.
I mean, it's also the case that if, say, they don't find that early Defile or Hellfire, if you're able to stick that Corpse Taker to board, you say use that Flame Tongue or an Earthen Might, with Wind Fury, you could just potentially kill your opponent so quickly as the Even Shaman.
Yep. Also, this Coldblood Librarian is very nice. Prevents Samuel Sao from stacking the board advantage with just his hero power.
And I feel like that was actually a little bit interesting decision. Board Control instantly went for the tap, but Acidic Swampu actually shuts down a couple plays from Samuel Sao that turn. Say like the Primal Fin would be a little bit too awkward to play. And also if you just say play your minions, it gives you more turns to tap later in the game.
One of the things I've also seen Shamans do, if it's a bad enough matchup, is that they just immediately start planning for the late stage of the game. You see them keep like Hagatha, for example. It's like, well, it's very clear that I'm never going to be able to build a board. My only way to win is very similar to, say, like a Deathstalk or Rexar situation, where I try to generate a ton of extra value and drag into the fatigue stage. And that is something that I do like about Even Shaman. It has a lot of ability to go long if needed.
Yeah, Hagatha always makes it that there's a chance in the game that you could come back. And Board Control, considering playing that Prince, I definitely think it makes a lot of sense to just play your minions out on curve in this matchup, just because if you slow things down, you get to that AoE that just really just wins you the game on the spot. So just even just putting this 3/3 down, what are you afraid of coming out from the Even Shaman?
Yeah, for 4 mana, or sorry, up to 4 mana, not really much.
Some people get too hung up on, say, keeping this Prince Tal'Daram for a crazy swing turn, copying a Cube or a Doomguard. But sometimes just playing it as a 3/3 on curve, that's enough. You see that sometimes even just with Mind Control tech, that sometimes just playing it on 3 is going to be better than waiting for them to have 4 minions. But Board Control, again, instead of playing out his curve, just going to continue to tap. And I feel like that just could be the case because Samuel Sao has mounted absolutely 0 pressure so far.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you that value of having a Coldblood Librarian early on. We're kind of talking about how you can keep the board in check. Samuel Sao has no real synergy for things like this Direwolf Alpha or Flame Tongues on him yet. Although, like we kind of mentioned, it could be a blessing in disguise that he has a lot of his top end with Lich King and Sea Giant. It could end up making it very difficult for Board Control to remove, given that, Board has combo pieces, but nothing substantial in the hand right now.
Yeah, and I agree. And I feel like in this position as Samuel Sao, you just have to go for the Fire Plume Phoenix, just because if you do go for this Corpse Taker and hope that it sticks, there's just too many answers to it. It dies to both Hellfire and the Spellstone. And I feel like that's going to be the way that you're going to try and win this game. But I guess he thinks he's in that bad of a position that he needs to do this right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And that just really goes to show how unfavored he thinks he feels.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup to say the least. Well, now Boar has a really interesting position where he doesn't have to remove the Corpse Taker. Could end up just be really greedy.
That card, I feel like, is the only way you lose.
I agree. I like just playing the Spellstone and removing, but saving Spellstone also has a lot of value because there's some heavy-hitting minions like Fire Elemental, which can get easily sniped by the Spellstone.
I think it's also probably the case that sometimes if you play a little bit too quickly, you could give your opponent, say, a read on your hand.
True.
So then if you, say, rope it out a little bit, make it seem like you have a little bit of a harder decision.
Yeah, I mean, so if you play Prince Tal'Daram and your opponent hexes to get past it, you still could answer with Ziliax.
I'm worried about Earthen Might buffing this thing up.
Oh, okay, you're right. Earthen Might could be a pretty problem, too.
If Samuel Sao just had 2 of those in hand, just 14 damage on the spot, a 7/7 would be pretty hard to answer.
But you do have the Spellstone, too.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so like he still has to trade into this 3/3 in some capacity. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes a little bit of sense, especially you do get to hold these spell stones.
The one thing I think I like the most about this play too is, sorry, the second thing I like the most besides the fact that it's pretty cool and unusual, is that it also buys board control not only removal, but also a little bit of life to work with. So that way, like, if his opponent couldn't deal with it, maybe that life, or sorry, that lifesteal on the Corpse Taker ends up buying him enough time where all those times he life taps or takes damage, he's not as worried about.
Right. And I like that he's just potentially going back up to 30 here after just tapping in the early game. Just really showing that Samuel Sao has just been able to just do nothing this game so far. A lot of times you're looking to, say, push lethal in the turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, but your opponent being at 30, not great.
Yeah. Ziliak's quite possibly the second most impactful card from Boomsday. Universally, I mean, you could pick some individual cards like Green Petal Florist being really sick for a specific class, but after Galien Inventor, I think Ziliak's is one of the best cards and also one of the most good feel cards. You know, I love playing Ziliak's.
Yeah, I mean, there's the case that a lot of people only played it in the mech decks at the start, but now they're coming out and just realizing that you can just put this thing in anything.
Yeah, it never feels bad to play Ziliak's.
I feel like half the time I'm playing even Shaman, I just get to the point in the game so quickly where it's just like, all right, Hagatha or Lich King, you gotta go in this game.
Right.
But
yeah, I feel it's kind. I know what you mean, and even then they're not as reliable because you're like, okay, Lich King needs to hit this spell, or Hagatha needs to pick up impactful spells.
Specifically, exactly Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
Into 2 Sea Giants.
Yeah, or like the exact burst you need.
So I feel like this is going to be a really important decision from Samuel Sao, whether he wants to play an aggressive or passive game, because he could go for the board clear with this double Flame Tongue Totem, or if he feels like he needs to be a little bit more aggressive, he could just jam one of these 6 drops and force, say, board control to maybe make a trade with this Mountain Giant.
Yeah, I kind of like the trade on the Mountain Giant because I feel like this is a position where you can start losing from if they end up using removal tools like Hellfire to push through. I mean, Direwolf Alpha isn't exactly great, considering that you haven't been able to build up a big board. So I think this is perfectly reasonable to trade. Yeah. Not to mention the threat of Cube. Your opponent plays Cube on the Giant.
I think what you're hoping for really is just that Lich King maybe lives more than 1 turn. So if you just slow down the game to that point.
Right. This is threatening of enough board, too, that board control might Hellfire, and then lack development gives you the ability to play like Gen Greymane, so that you can actually start answering the board state, and then Lich King can come down afterwards.
Now, moving forward, if this does get AoE'd, I wonder if one of the things Samuel Sao has to think about if he should stop hero powering because it does make Lord Godfrey that much better. So say if he does play one of these 6 drops, should he hero power with it?
When you have Flame Tongue Totem and Sea Giant in your hand,
it's hard not to.
It feels like you want to hero power still as much as you can, but I agree. Like, if it might be helping board control more than hurting him.
But man, board control just has access to so many good ways to deal with this board, no matter how he wants to do it. Just being able to slow down this game, when you eventually get to Gul'dan, that beats Hagatha pretty well. I
mean, there might even be a case for Godfrey because of how much good AoE and removal he has in his hand. And
yeah, the 4/4 just fights on the board as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like out of range of Fire Elemental.
That works.
I think this is the best play. Oh, okay, okay.
It's the worst play. Dies the Argent Commander. It's always just correct.
It's like, oh my gosh, you didn't play it? Because he didn't.
He actually looked upset. I don't understand how you could look that upset in the position that he is in this game. I get that you just got punished by, like, the only answer. Like, the play was still just good. A little bit unfortunate, but look at the game state. What are you mad about? You're chilling, man.
Just more like, you know, you were hoping he wouldn't have it. So, yeah. Knowing what most people said about board, I think that's definitely a tame response compared to him a year ago or 2 years ago.
He used to just pop off on the camera.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you have a lot of time and breathing room. But also, I kind of wanted to start digging deeper into my deck to find a way to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit weird if you just sit back and just play AoE after AoE, and sometimes you can potentially run out of it. So at some point, board control does have to start playing some threats. He also knows that playing Void Lords from hand isn't ideal just because Samuel Sao does play 2 copies of Hex in his Even Shaman.
Right, and I don't know. I think just answering this and then developing a little bit on the board is perfectly fine. Acidic Swamp Ooze does nothing important to hit. Okay.
I mean,
A little bit, like, I guess the 2 life doesn't matter. I was like, does he want to gain a little bit more life? But he was on 10 cards, right? So he wanted to play 2 cards first.
Yeah, realizing that if he did go for that tap,
Yeah.
it would have went.
I don't think it's
Would have felt pretty silly.
So now 1 Spellstone's being used. Samuel Tao might feel a little bit better about playing Lich King, but it does get answered by the 2nd Spellstone. But I don't think it's kind of like what you're talking about. I think at this point you might be hoping that Lich King just survives, and even then, he still might get Army of the Dead.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at Army to the Dead as the only card to really bail him out here. Doom Pact will help you deal with, a crazy cube board, but it doesn't really ever win you the game. He also has access to just Faceless this Lich King.
And Spellstone.
Yeah, that turn lines up pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
Board Control has just been copying Samuel Tsao's good plays. The Corpse Search comes down, Prince is there to steal it. And now Lich King, Faceless does the job.
Okay. Hagatha gives Samuel Tsao an actual reasonable pivot.
This is even Shaman. You just get to the point of the game. Lich King and Hagatha, please help me out. Please.
Well, I mean, Kalamos also can do some big damage too. But yeah, it's definitely the Hagatha Lich King.
Is this the turn that you do Doom Pact? A lot of times you don't want to eat through your deck too much. And now if you hold the Hex, you then have that for, say, something like a Void Lord, which you'd rather much use the Hex on that than the Doom Pact.
The development after Doom Pact or Hex is still pretty bad no matter what. So I think you might be onto something. Doom Pact also gets worse with things like Void Lord, because 1, it doesn't even clear the board, and 2, if they have multiple like Void Walkers and Void Lord back, you basically destroy like half your remaining deck. So
I feel like the only other play would just be get Hagatha up this turn and give him a turn to potentially play on the board. But I definitely don't like using the Hex over the Doom Pact there.
Oh wow. Flame Tongue Totem.
He could have developed like in this exact same way. Even if he went for the Doom Pact, he would have 1 less totem on the board.
Yeah, I like the idea of Flame Tongue after Hagatha to get the extra spell, but I guess, when you're going to give up your token, or rather your totem hero power, Flame Tongue is not going to get much better.
And now we're just at the point where Board Control finally found that skull, and being able to use that to then go off with the cube the turns that the demons go down. Once 2 Void Lords hit the board, you need a lot from Hagatha to try and bail you out from that one. Because even if you do kill those Void Lords, they eventually come back, thanks to Gul'dan.
Yeah, there's no Acidic Swamp Ooze also in Samuel Tsao's deck. So the Skull Minari should be good to go.
I'm pretty surprised by that. A lot of times in even Shaman, people even felt the need to play 2 of those.
Yes,
but he
I
just
do.
Went for no weapon destruction.
And
Part of that reason too is just because Odd Rogue punishes what even Shaman is trying to do so well. So then having that destruction on turn 2 sometimes wins you that matchup.
Yeah, that's the primary reason. Odd Rogue is so strong. And Board Control can even life tap here. This is a little nifty trick from the old days where before you draw, you end up pulling a minion with the Skull of the Minari effect. And now, Samuel Tsao has the ability to develop as freely as he wants to. Maybe Sea Giant comes down here instead. It's a pretty sturdy minion. Godfrey's already been used. And you need as much power as you can to answer whatever Board Control pulls out with his skull.
Yeah, and in Board Control's position, I don't think he really cares too much whether it's going to be the Doomguard or the Void Lord. Just being able to make 2 copies of that is just going to be absolutely insane. And now that he did find that Gul'dan, and yeah, as you said, that was a heads-up play, realizing that you can go up to 10 cards here.
Yeah, and also very awkward position for Samuel Tsao where Hagatha, it kills his own board. Like, he would love to be able to set up that hero power.
But he just can't.
Yeah, it just sacrifices too much. And I wonder if he's going to do what you're talking about, which if you hero power, you might realistically get the Steering Totem, which is a 1/1 minion for Defile to just get, like, really easy clear.
Yeah, I think you're going to be in the position where you really can't afford to take that flip, just because what does that Spell Power Totem even do for you? You already have a minion next to the Flame Tongue.
Yep, precisely. No hero power. Doomguard.
Well,
There are some.
I feel like you're even okay trading both Doom Guards into the Giant, especially when you have Gul'dan in hand. That's not even bad.
Well, you have Anti-Magic Shell also available. That makes it into 6. No, you can't do it because of the Flame Tongue Totem buff. Yeah, I like Hellfire a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, he had access to a ton of plays that would just win him the game on the spot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. A lot of times it's fun to try and dream up the situations of what Hagatha needs to do to win this game, but it's looking rough.
Okay.
What are you seeing out of Hagatha? Dream it up for me.
Well, specifically, I thought this was an opportunity because I was thinking about like Doom Pack, but his follow-up play was pretty bad. So now you can trade Doom Pack and play the Corpse Taker. That can buy you some time, and then Hagatha can give you the follow-up. So before I was like, well, yeah, this is a position where I may just want to Doom Pack the Doom Guard. But if I'm paying Primal Findota, I'm really sad. Oh my.
Is he going face here? That would be a fun way to try and win this game.
Yeah, play
just
like
saying,
Gen.
I'm not playing around anything.
Whoa.
I'm going face. I really want to see where the Sea Giant goes. I feel like if he did this play, he's got to go face.
I like the face plan if he's doing this too. Although, realistically, killing a Doom Guard is also perfectly fine too, because the 2 Doom Guards can't kill the Corpse Taker, and then you have this ability for Corpse Taker to maybe get big buffs. But I do like the face plan. Wow, Samuel Tsao. Every tournament I watch him play ends up picking, like, he always has like a game or two where he picks a really aggressive line, and I'm not sure if it's going to work out.
He probably hangs out in Twitch chat a bunch. He
well,
hears that face is the place to go.
Is this potential lethal? Can we avoid proccing the lifesteal on the Corpse Taker? We have Cobalt Librarian and Anti-Magic Shell.
Yeah, I think this is lethal. You could go Kobold Librarian, Defile, Anti-Magic Shell, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I mean, that's less than 10.
Probably Anti-Magic Shell first, right? No, it doesn't matter, I think. Okay, this works too.
All right, turns out there was just more than one lethal.
Right. I mean, as long as you had some kind of Anti-Magic Shell play, it would seal the deal. But really nicely navigated, and that's going to be game number 3, going to the Cube Warlock. Even Shaman struggling. But as much as we've seen Even Shaman losing this series, Samuel Tsao had to win with it to get to this point, as he's 2-0 currently. But this is looking kind of bad.
Well, the deck that he is targeting is still up, trying to beat up on that Death Rattle Hunter over and over again.
Yep, exactly. And then Samuel Tsao's remaining deck afterwards would be
Token Druid, I believe.
Token Druid.
So yeah, he has 2 good matchups, but even when it's the case that you have 2 good matchups, you're still unfavored in the series if you have to win 2. And the great majority